Dark Knight.
Well, you know what it is? We watched it last night, and every time I do watch it, I'm left off with that feeling of like, God, man, what a good movie.
I don't even know how you can argue that this isn't the best one.
Oh no, I will still argue. I like, even after finishing it, it's like, it's something about Begins that really kind of just resonates with me more. I think there's no question that The Dark Knight is phenomenal. I mean, this movie ends the way this movie ends.
Oh, it ends perfectly. Like, you get chills, but you almost have like a tear, like the emotion.
I don't know if I ever got a tear, but you're right.
It's not like sad. It's like just emotional.
Yeah,
like it's ending, and
you're
just like.
But it goes back to what I said. It's like it ends, and you're like,
oh my god.
Like, because I look back into where
it ends, and you go, that's a fucking superhero. Like,
yes, yeah. But it's also like it finishes, and it's like that feeling of like, man, I just experienced something awesome.
Yeah,
like that was great.
The movie-going experience was worth it.
Yeah. Oh, this was one I was so glad. Like, I saw this in theaters back in 2008. Like,
I was there for midnight.
See, I was
there. I believe I went to go see it like the following night. I saw this 3 times in theaters, and every time I just walked out. It was great.
But it's also like, that's saying a lot for a movie that is as dark and gritty as it is, and it's not like dark and gritty in only 2 hours. This is a 2.5 hour movie. It's a long movie, and it's something it's intense, and like I said, it's dark and gritty. Those are not usually the type of movies that you're like, oh, I need to immediately see this again.
Yeah.
But this one was. It has that quality to where it's like, let's rewind that back and watch it and run it back.
Is this the most quotable superhero movie ever made?
Yeah. But it's because of, we talked about it last night, obviously.
Well, the Joker, almost every line he has.
You have Why So Serious, and
there's so many.
Let's
put a smile on that face.
Let's put a smile on that face. There's also, you want to know how I got these scars. But then I was talking to you.
No.
I thought
the city deserves better class criminal.
And I'm going to... I told you...
Aggressive expansion.
Kyle, I said, I'm going to give
I could go on and
I
on.
know. And I said, I'm going to give you one if you want to... Do you want to quote him right now? Do you want to do an impression right now? I'll give you one.
No,
okay. I still say probably one of the most known quotes from the movie, to me, is still Harvey Dent saying...
I was just talking about the Joker in general. I wasn't even talking.
Well, you talked about it being one of the most quotable.
No, I know, but my point is, you start with the Joker, and almost everything he has is very quotable
from the Joker.
And then you got all this Michael Caine's.
Well, Michael Caine's got the "Some men just want to watch the world burn," which at its essence is what the Joker.
Yeah.
He's striving for chaos, and like the line that hit me this time for some reason. That I turned to you, I was like, I always liked that line, was where he's with Harvey in the hospital bed, and he's like, and that's the thing about chaos, it's fair.
Yeah.
And it something about that, I was like, man, like, this movie, it's much like all of Nolan's movies, they are incredibly well written, and more importantly, they have specific lines that are just memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, no question, maybe... has, like you said, probably the most memorable lines.
You either die a hero.
That's the one.
Live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That's the one that I think is one of the more famous ones.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is famous.
That and the Michael Caine line and Why So Serious, I think, are the top 3 where people, you could say that in a crowd and people would go, Dark Knight.
The city deserves better class of criminal, and I'm gonna give it to him.
There you go. That's your one. That's your. Is that it? That's your one?
No.
You blew it. You blew it, kid.
Got
what?
A bit of a mess on my hands.
No,
bit of a dry run.
That's your own fault, Tobias. Something that also was a game changer with this movie was the idea of a superhero movie that had performances in them that were like, these are Oscar worthy. And more specifically, a superhero movie where people said, this movie is Oscar worthy.
That was, to me, that was the biggest takeaway. I remember leaving the movie theater and being with a group of friends, and even the next night going with a different group of friends. I went with like a group from work the next night. And walking out of both, that was everybody's. They were like, "Oh, this wasn't good in superhero movie terms.
This is good.
This is probably the best movie of the year."
Yeah, and if you look back at 2008, like Slumdog Millionaire won Best Picture, but the two best movies, we talked about this, two best movies that came out that year weren't even nominated.
No,
and it was Dark Knight and Wall-E.
Yeah,
and and we are convinced that's the main reason why the Academy Awards expanded their Best Picture categories, because movies like this were excluded only because of its genre. Or like I remember I saw this with Dad, and Dad, I had to drag Dad to it, like because
y'all were on.
We were on vacation, and my mom and little sister went to go see something else, and I desperately wanted to see this movie. And Dad, I don't think was really too interested, and he walked out and was like, "It's good, like it's like Oscar good." And something else that he appreciated about it, he was like, "This isn't like," and Dad's, he does know a decent amount about movies, but he's not. He looked at it and he was like, "This was not like cartoonish." He was like, "This was comic bookish," in the sense that it was like everything was like for justice, and but it also, while some parts are a little, I wouldn't say cheesy, but it seems it does to me. It does seem a little comic bookish. But this movie, for me, I'd argue it has probably one of the best opening scenes of all time. I mean, we talked about this. I would say, yeah.
What's funny is, while the movie may not be as good, the opening to the next movie that we're going to review after this one, the plane sequence.
But that's in. You know what? We'll hold off for that discussion.
But you're right. To me,
this set off like this is what this movie's about to be.
You know what's funny is when I think of this. Not what's funny. I mean, when I think of this movie, I think of the opening sequence.
I don't. I think of the interrogation scene.
See, I don't.
Interesting.
I think of the camera zooming in on the building.
Well, this also was the first. You know what it did?
And then I think of him. I think of the. I'm supposed to kill the bus driver.
Well, no, it's in. First of all,
just the whole sequence.
It's also it's that idea of like, man, the Joker does know what he's doing. Like that whole plan was brilliant as far as robbing a bank and getting money and taking all of it.
Mm-hmm.
That scene also was kind of everyone's introduction to Nolan saying like, I'm going to use IMAX cameras.
Yeah.
And this movie there were tons of scenes like when he's in Hong Kong or the opening scene where Nolan clearly was like, everything's grand. It's grand. It's big. Mm-hmm. And the opening scene.
He's since very much, I don't want to say developed that style, but it's kind of become his.
Oh, that's his
thing.
It's everything is huge, and he wants everything to be a spectacle, and he wants people to go to the theaters and watch something that they're like, I haven't seen something like this before. But for me, the best scene is the interrogation.
That's
scene.
That's where he won his Oscar.
Well, yeah, but it's like that. It's some of the best acting possibly ever.
You have nothing.
No, it is. It's the dynamic of the scene, because first it's like it's why the Joker is such a good villain. It's because he's like, no one can control him, and no one has anything on him. And it's like, even when Bruce seems like he has the upper hand, that he's like punching him and like doing, he's like, no, he doesn't care. And then it turns out that it's all the Joker's. It was all his plan to be there to begin with. God, this movie, it's great.
It is.
Yeah.
It's good, and that's why the Joker's such a good villain. Because of everything you just said.
Well, you also
and not just Heath Ledger. I mean, that's why that character. That's why Batman movies have the ability to be as good as that Nolan made them. Is because the villains are so much better than pretty much any other comic, superhero movie.
Yeah.
The villains are. We talked about this. They're more realistic, and psychotic, but also very smart.
Well, it comes back to like some villains. There's super villains that are like, I'm doing this so I can take over the world, or I'm doing this so I can get a ton of money.
But he's like
he
a
has
dog chasing a truck.
It's the thrill. It's the thrill of the chase. Exactly.
It's exactly what he says.
No, I know. It's not. He has no concern about. There's no end goal.
You need me.
Well, that I actually. After watching it again, the whole end scene where he's explaining what he's done to Harvey, Heath Ledger, this is for sure one of the best acting performances of all time. And I can't, because you're just too much fun.
Yeah.
God,
it's great. It's great.
No, I do. I love this movie. I still would argue that the first one's better. Not better. It's on par. Anyone I talk to, it feels like they say the second one's far and away better than the first one. And
well, I don't have it far and away, but I do have the second one. There's a step. I'm different in the sense that I don't think the third one's as bad.
I'm hoping it won't be. Hopefully we'll rewatch it and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But we'll see, because there's still some things that I remember vividly where I'm like,
See, again, I walked out of the theater the first time with that, and I guess
we'll save that. We'll save that for Dark Knight Rises. So, I give this an A. I mean, it's an A. It's an A for it's on par for me as just as much as Batman Begins. They're both brilliant in their own right. And certain things Dark Knight does better, like the acting, the scale, honestly Hans Zimmer's score. He toned it up even more, and it's an iconic score. But then, like, the first one, just as an origin movie, is so brilliant.
No, I agree. I agree. It's good, but to me, I have this as an A as well. But it's like just
a little bit bigger,
that much better, just that much better than Batman Begins.
I don't know. Okay, that's your opinion, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, everyone's seen The Dark Knight. Everyone knows what it is. I mean, Maggie Gyllenhaal was great as Katie Holmes. Aaron Eckhart, it sucks that he's not in more, or, I mean,
honestly, it kind of sucks. He turned in a really good performance in this, but it's just, like, so completely overshadowed by what Heath Ledger did with the Joker. But Aaron Eckhart was good.
Oh, he was great as Harvey Two-Face. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to, like, what I said, is that this was the first superhero movie where people watched and took it seriously. Like, before it was just mindless entertainment, and with this movie it was like, this is the real deal. It was great. So, but yeah, I would say that's basically our take of The Dark Knight. It's brilliant. If you haven't seen it, you've literally been living under a rock. So catch us next time with our take of The Dark Knight Rises, third and final installment of Nolan's Batman. They're great, man. We'll catch you later.